I'd call the December 27th, 2018 meeting to order. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975. By advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times, by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. I'd ask everyone to bow their heads for a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
I
already read it.
Oh, did you read it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Councilman Belcaro?
Here.
Councilman Polito?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
Here.
Council President Pryor?
Here.
Mayor Mickey?
Here. Need a motion to come out of executive session?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Katrina?
The council is in executive session for approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. The topic of discussions are as listed on your agenda 1 through 6. The minutes from executive session shall be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. There will be a second executive session at the end of the meeting to discuss the PVA contract and the forensic accountant's contract, and those minutes will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. There is one addition to the consent agenda.
Who's the Jeep?
Oh, and it's to authorize the bid of the Jeep Willie at sealed bids, which will be noticed. So that's added to the consent agenda.
Is there any public comment on the agenda items only?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Seeing none, we'll move into old business. Number 1 is ordinance number 2018-15. It's the second reading and public hearing to amend and revise supplement Chapter 227, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 37, Handicap Parking of the Code of the Township of Lopatcong to add a handicap parking space in front of a private residence and remove spaces that are no longer needed. Need a motion to open up the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
Folks, questions, comments? Seeing none, need a motion to close?
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Okay.
added.
Motion to act on?
I'll make that motion. This was the veteran, right?
Correct.
Yes. I'll make that motion.
Second. Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcaro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Mickey?
Yes. Anybody want anything pulled from the consent agenda, items 1 through 11?
I didn't want it pulled. I just had 2 questions. The number 9, the right of access. What right of access was?
That's for reviewing, that's a right of access of the municipal engineers to review the stormwater management requirements.
And they
on the
asked us to
property.
sign an agreement to let him on site. I got it. And then
Williamsburg already signed theirs.
our municipal judge, the 3-year term, is that for the same compensation?
It's your call.
Well,
You
there
did.
should be some figure attached to this, right?
Well, you did provide a raise in the salary resolution for him, so
2%.
it's 2% on what he was receiving.
Pardon me, 2 or 3?
2.
2?
Good with that?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right.
All right. Need a motion to pass the consent agenda.
I make the motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcaro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Mickey?
Yes. All right, council reports. Mr. Polito?
No report.
Mr. Belcaro?
Yeah, I believe all the leaf pickup is completed, Ryan.
Yes, just a sweep.
Just a sweeper going around, pick up any left debris. So anyone that has any leaves left will have to, so we got leaves left. Ryan, people have leaves left over. I know, I've seen some piles people put out.
We're out and about. I mean,
Okay.
if you're gonna put them there, spread them out, sweeper will do its best, but if you can help out, you're always welcome to bring them down to the garage also. All right, so, we'll accommodate you as best we can.
There was a decent pile on Brickley Avenue yesterday.
We have to do it. We'll do
Looked
it.
pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Happy New Year.
Mr. Wright?
The only thing, I had 2 phone calls last week about water problem again on Fox Farm Road. I'd like to get maybe Mr. Sturman's up there, take a ride up and take a look. I know we keep having this problem up there, so we gotta take a look at that.
Okay.
And that's about all I got. Anything else?
Mr. Fire?
I had a call from the president of the Phillipsburg Board of Ed, and they would like to meet with a representative of the township, and I volunteered to do this. They want to discuss this second access road. It's been discussed several times. They want to discuss it again. They got some new people. They want to discuss it again. I said I'd be certainly willing to meet, be willing to cooperate, but there's a couple of givens. One is any impact upon the park is off limits. And we are not going to fund it. We're not going to fund any of it. And that's if it's feasible. And if you look at the grades, I mean, I'm sure the price is going to be outrageous, but it's not Lopat's issue. If the board wants it, they're going to have to figure out how to pay for it.
What's the purpose of accessing?
Well, that was the other question I had. I mean, you go back to, what are you trying to accomplish? And they said, well, we need a second access. And then, you know, and I said, why? Well,
Part of the original agreement was there was to be a gated emergency exit out of that property onto our park. A gated emergency exit. And that's the way it was. And that goes back to 1998, 99, when the agreement was first signed, to redevelop that property for the school district. I'm limited to what I will say about it because I work for the Phillipsburg Board of Education. But in wearing my mayor's hat, I will agree with Mr. Pryor that we will not spend a dime to put another access road in there.
you know, the gated access through the park makes no sense. That's not really a second access at all.
Well, that was only in the case of an emergency.
You're at the bottom of the hill. I mean, you'd have to have an emergency at Roseberry or something.
We have been generous.
They're talking about a much bigger project.
Yeah. And I think we've been a good neighbor in allowing them to park there for graduation and whatnot, so, yeah. I agree. Anything else?
No, so that, they agreed to put that off until after New Year's, but that'll be,
I'm sure they're gonna they're gonna review our next meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll meet the people around.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Folks, I really don't have anything myself tonight, but I do see a lot of new faces, so, we don't have our engineer's report. Can we, yes, sure, you do have two things. What do you got?
Yes, so there's two items from executive session that require action. The first is a motion to authorize the settlement of the scenic renter tax appeal as discussed in executive session. Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I will second it.
Beth?
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes.
The second is to authorize my office to take the action discussed in executive session regarding the personnel grievance.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Or Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right. Excuse me. We don't have an engineer's report tonight. Can we approve the department reports? A motion on that? Motion. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Payment of bills? Any motion on that?
Motion?
Second.
Beth?
Yes.
Beth, I didn't see JMT in.
I'll abstain if
Oh.
there is. Correct. Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Council President Pryor?
Yes.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes. Folks, questions, comments? Feel free. Ken, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. Kim Thomas, 6 Wordsworth Lane. Two things. First of all, regarding the leaf pickup, I don't know if we need to adjust the schedule for pickup, considering that many of the oak trees that line our streets are releasing the leaves much later I know on my own property, that's what happened. Besides the snowfall that pushed all the leaves back up on my property, but the leaves are coming down later than our collection dates. Secondly, I have an issue that I saw while driving Belvedere Road, and I need to say that I'm asking you to consider this as a citizen and not a member of the school board tonight. So, high school students are crossing Belvedere Road at Charles, and there's no crossing guard there. It's a bad section, even when you're pulling out of Charles, you know, to get onto Belvedere. It's just a bad spot. I know they're probably not supposed to be crossing there, but since they are, and there's no one there to sort of stop them from doing it, I'm just concerned that it might be something that we might want to look at. I did ask our superintendent. She did say that it was something that the town needed to look at. So, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Bob Sampson, 29 Jade Lane. I'm here to talk. I'm not a very good public speaker, so I had to write everything down here.
That's fine.
I'm here to speak a little about the LAA and its separation from the township. Just my humble opinion, since the departure from the township has really failed to flourish. My opinion, there's a declining trust in the leadership of the program. There seems to be a lot of cronyism going on with the program. For those of you that don't know, cronyism is defined as the appointment of friends and associates in positions of authority without qualifications, regard to the qualifications. Simply put, once someone is placed in a position, they certainly would not vote out or speak out against the leadership. Anyone that should speak out against the leadership or question any decisions or practices would never be placed in any sort of leadership position. Just an example of that, this year the assistant director gave up his position. The bylaw state football is so much work that it's the only sport that can have more than one assistant. And so, Robert Paulus volunteered for that position, a coach there for 4 years, and was told that there's really no need to fill that position. Mr. Paulus often attends the meetings and openly questions the leadership on issues of money, lack of transparency, the forums in which the meetings are run. Last year, I suggested to the board they bring in a vice president position to help share some of the workload as well as help with some financial decisions. The vice president position is common in all business models. Also, all youth organizations in the area has this position, except the LAA. After a closed meeting prior to the LAA meeting, I was told this position was not necessary. I believe the board was discouraged on this decision as I had volunteered for the position and often questioned leadership on money matters in their decision-making process as well. In November, it came to my attention the treasurer had resigned his position. When I expressed interest in the position to the leadership, I was told that I was too late and the position had been filled from within. I didn't hear anything about a vote, anything like that. So to me, like when you tell me from within, it means somebody within the organization, somebody that's, a director or a coach, somebody that has a kid in the program or something. So the individual who filled the position has no affiliation to the LAA whatsoever. So, maybe that's not bad, having somebody with no vested interest might not be a bad idea. However, it seems dishonest to say someone from within had been granted the position. This raises a red flag for me and other families with children participating within LAA activities. I attended a meeting in December with a video camera to try and add a little transparency to how the meetings are run, the voting process, the lack of financial transparency. This was met with much resistance, and I was told I was forbidden to tape the meeting because it's a private organization. Article 10 of the bylaws, number 4, states a closed meeting is never allowed unless it fits within the confines of the Open Meetings Act. Also, number 7 states the LAA encourages all residents to attend and express all thoughts and ideas in all concerns for the youth of Lopatcong Township. I believe they violated my rights, as were the rights of every parent that funds this organization. Meetings begin at 8 p.m., sometimes run past 10. Many parents cannot attend. The association is funded by the parents, and everyone has a right to know what's going on and where all the money's going, as well as how the meetings are run. A response to the camera, in my humble opinion, from a healthy organization would be that of, this is a great idea. Let's videotape it. Let's show everybody. Let everybody see what's going on here, how we run the meeting. It was the total opposite of what I encountered that day. Instead, I was made to feel embarrassed and that the idea was a bad one, and left to feel like it was no one's business what occurs at these meetings. This is another red flag to me and others. I was told they had voted on the treasurer in an executive session and they voted unanimously. The leadership openly stated that if they were not comfortable with who they voted for, they would remove their name from the articles of incorporation, indicating they were afraid of an audit. I'm not sure when the last time a youth organization was audited by the IRS or anybody else. It just seemed ridiculous to me. Why all of a sudden is this a fear or a concern? If there were concerns on the part of the work the last treasurer had done, why was there no intervention? I'm not sure why he left, but nevertheless he did. This year I did a fundraiser. For football. We made almost $7,000 profit. It was a raffle. I sold raffle tickets, and I came here to sell some raffle tickets, and Beth yelled at me because we don't have a license. We don't have a license to sell the tickets. So, I asked the leadership that we got a problem because we don't have the right permits and the license, and they said, yes, we do. Yes, we do. I told them the fine is $7,500, and we could lose our license. I had the paperwork. I could have done the paperwork. All they had to do was tell me we don't have the paperwork, and I would have taken care of it. But they stuck to it. They said that we had it. They told me we had everything we needed. It wasn't true. We did the raffle anyway without the permits and the license. So we risked a $7,500 fine and losing our license rather than doing the paperwork and paying the $50 fee. The current leadership doesn't seem to be honest or forthright. It seems to be financially irresponsible. I'm not sure if the town is overseeing the LAA or what's going on here, but it seems there might be a little exposure for the township as well. I was told the reason for the separation was because the cheerleaders couldn't secure a check for one of their competitions, therefore they were unable to compete. And the separation would allow easier access to the money so this would not happen again. Oddly enough, my football team had a tournament at the end of the year. We didn't have a check. Nobody gave us a check. So we had to gather up the cash to pay the guy. So, what's the real reason for the separation? I don't really understand. It's just another failure. I think the separation has little to do with the access to the check and more to do with the tens of thousands of dollars that come into the program each year, as well as political aspirations of the leadership. The parents that fund the program have no say in anything. They have no vote. Typical policy for youth sports programs is if a parent attends 2 consecutive meetings, they are eligible to vote. When we question leadership about giving the parents the right to vote, it was stated it will never happen. It only confuses things. So in closing, there has never been a financial statement read at any LAA meeting that I have ever been to. And I have questioned that for years. If you read their bylaws, The bylaws, by the way, if you look at their website, are from 2015. And so they have other sets of bylaws that are different than what's on the website. It seems like, you know, we're blowing smoke there, we're trying to hide something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. So in closing, there's never been a financial statement read, even though it says that the treasurer is supposed to have it at every meeting every month. Even though we bring that to their attention, there is still no statement. Parents do not have the right to vote, even though they fund the program. They are not fulfilling their contract to the township, striking fields, keeping up with the field house and so on. There is no financial transparency. The directors don't even know how much money is in their account. They'd rather jeopardize their gaming license than fill out the paperwork and pay the fee. If you challenge any decisions or question where the money is going, you are banned from holding certain positions within the organization. We've lost the wrestling program. All the numbers are down. We're not abiding by the laws. It just seems to me like it's a free-for-all. That's it.
That's a lot. But I certainly appreciate you doing your homework and bringing it to our attention.
Are we gonna do anything about it?
Well, we'll get to that. What rights do we have to, because we've separated from them?
Well, they're a separate organization, but there are a few items within your agreement that you can oversee. There's not a lot of them, but we can look at the agreement and see what those, and most of those have to do with their nonprofit status and things like that.
Well, we give them the use of the field, priority on the field, things like that. We have that leverage.
When you deem them the...
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, they are an independent 501c3. We have no authority or control over their governance. So the things like the bylaws, how they run the meetings, we have no more control over them than we do over the EMS or any other 501c3 here. There is an agreement, and this was executed, well, I guess it was executed about the time I came on. The breakaway was just before that. The idea was they would be in a better position for fundraising and public-private partnerships and things like that. Am I remembering that correctly?
You are correct.
And I know initially they did have a fair amount of success in fundraising. They execute an agreement with the township, and we do give them certain funding every year in return for certain services. The agreement with the township, really, the leverage we have is the use of the fields. That's the primary leverage, I guess. And in return, they're supposed to do certain things. We'll have to revisit that agreement. It's not, again, we don't have control over their governance. If they are not serving the youth of the town, we can probably, we probably have leverage. That's the best I can say without reviewing everything right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, back when I got on council back in January of '98, they were independent then too, I believe. There was a point.
They were under the town.
Well, there was a point they were under. So at one point they were not. And from what I recollect was there were a bunch of accounts out there, football, wrestling, all this stuff, and nobody really knew what was going on at that point either.
I think
So-
it's an insurance.
So we pulled it all under, we pulled it back into the township. Am I correct?
You're correct, you are correct. They
So
started out-
at that point, I think everything was kind of like in one pot, because you'll get the argument that football brings in the most money. Football also costs a lot to run. So it's,
And they're to provide their financial
yeah.
stats to us by February 1st.
So
every year,
we've
so.
seen it go both ways. Obviously, there are some things we can do, as Mr. Pryor had just explained, so we'll look into that angle. I don't think we can give you any definitive answers tonight, but we can certainly look into what's going on.
So are we gonna talk about it again at the next meeting? Is that what we're gonna do, or how are we gonna move forward with it?
Well, I tell you, we could, one of the things I always bring up is you came here as an individual, and I applaud that. I applaud everybody who comes here with a legitimate beef and speaks before us. But right now, you're one person. I mean, are we going to hear from other parents, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll speak.
Well,
My name's Amanda Wazowski. I live at 49 Powder Run Drive.
Amanda, can you spell your last name?
Lozowski.
Thank you.
I've had my run-in with the LAA already. I do not agree with their leadership. I attended a LAA meeting in June. I was promised that at the LAA meeting in June that by the football director and the president that they would disperse the football budget to the football parents, because as parents who are funding the organization, they say you don't understand where all the money goes. And we said, show us. As a parent, I said, show me where the money goes, and I will, of course, I'll do the fundraising, I'll pay my dues, I don't have a problem with it. But show me. If football season's over and I get to see a budget, I get to see any financials. I had 2 children in the football program this year, one on the Pee Wee team and one on the flag team. Mr. Sampson coached my Pee Wee. Everything was very wonderful. He coached wonderfully. The flag level, which is your entry level position, is not serving the youth the way it should. The kids are told they have a minimum of 6 plays a game. Most kindergartner and first graders even only play 6 plays a game. The whole league is run by favoritism, that if you're a coach's child, you will play. If you are really good at it, you will play. There is no, and this is a Warren County Football League rule that 6 plays minimum, there is no community feel of everybody's gonna play and we're all gonna have fun, we're all gonna learn. I questioned the leadership of the coaching and the flag football level many times. These kids don't they listen to a whistle on the field in a game, but they don't know what it means because they've never heard it in practice. They don't understand. So I said, why don't you use a whistle? The whistle was around the coach's neck, it was never used in practice. So the kids didn't know, all they knew was, hey, hey, stop. Not a whistle, like on the game field. There were a lot of things that translated back and forth like that, and I spoke out against them. I spoke out against the favoritism, I spoke out against the whistle, I spoke out about a lot of things. And my son only played 6 plays a game. Because he was a kindergartner, which I understand, he's not the best. But as soon as those kids get to starting to learn something, they get pulled out of the game because those favorites have to get back in, because we gotta win the game. When all the parents on the sidelines want to say, we don't care what the score is at the end of the day, we want to play good low-pat football, which is good sportsmanship, learning to play the game, and playing as a team. We are getting a coach out there that just wants to win, because his record is on the line, and that's his name. And I don't agree with it. I think that the kids all should have an equal chance. They're not being served equally, especially under Mr. Lutz's coaching on the full flag football team. I had an issue with it, I spoke out against it. I spoke to the football director at O'Neill, and it said, we'll have a meeting, you, me, and the president of the LAA. I said, how is that fair? I said, the president of the LAA is the head football coach that I have a problem with. He wears 2 hats, that's not fair to me as a parent. I have no one to speak up against. He said it's not a conflict of interest. I disagree. But in the same sense, then I kept my mouth shut because, well, my kid was only gonna play 6 plays a game. Mr. Lutz went out and fundraised a lot of money this year. I don't deny it, that he went out and fundraised it. But he went out and fundraised it because he wanted credit for it, because he stood there and said, I went to Coordinated Health and I got them to donate money for the jerseys. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna put a patch on it. My flag football player does not really care if he has a jersey with his name on it. It is a waste of funds, in my opinion. They look really great, but they aren't playing the way they should as a community, as a team. Everything in the football program looks really great. I'm going to tell you that. You watch the field house, looks gorgeous. They try crown molding in the concession stand. I don't know why we need crown molding in a concession stand. I think it's excessive, and that's what us parents are here, and we're worried about what is happening with this LAA program because it's getting out of control. That's why we came to the town council.
Can I ask how many parents are here tonight?
all from the football program, all from sports programs, different programs, cheerleading?
Yep. Football. Mostly football.
Okay.
And that's the season that just ended. Like we were promised. We were promised a budget at the beginning of the year. It was said at the football picnic that we have every year, we're going to get you a budget. To the whole entire league, which is all great. We never got it. We got names on jerseys and things that make us look good, But at the end of the day, was that going to better our team? No. It didn't matter that I could read my kid's name. I have his number. It's fine. But now Coach Sampson, I had to turn in a jersey to Coach Sampson. He goes, is he playing next year? I said, no, I don't know what to do with his jersey with his big name on it. That's 2 jerseys that was wasted. He played 1 year. That's where I see that these waste of funds that don't make sense. We're getting fundraising in. We have no idea how much money actually came in. All we were told was the money came in to cover the jerseys. The flag football got brand new jerseys, complete. Brand new, all of themselves. We were asked initially to pay for them about $40. The $40 was returned to us because he got it covered. Then in addition, the other divisions had their names written on the back of the shirts as well. We don't know where that money came from or how much that money really was. As a parent, I don't know. These are the questions, and why we're all sitting here is because we don't understand what's going on in the program. And when we confront the program, we get, you don't know what you're talking about, this is fine, we have the books. That's where we're concerned. And that the youth are suffering. Our kids are suffering, because guess what? My kids don't want to play football anymore because they don't enjoy it because of all the headache. But thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Hurd?
Matt Herzer, 8 Moonwood Drive, Stewartsville. I'm the newly recently appointed treasurer to the Lopatcong Athletic Association. Before that, I was the recording secretary. I was picked because I have very strong accounting skills. I was 6 years as a school and municipal auditor. We also audited 501c3 nonprofit organizations. And in the last 4 years, I have been with the Bernards Township Board of Education as an accountant. I was picked because I have those really strong accounting skills, and going forward, when I take over the books, I can have a clear picture of what's going into it. I'm very detailed. I can provide you detailed financial statements once, at the end of the year, once they're reconciled, and I can take them over. You'll have anything anybody wants to know, I can report.
I have a suggestion, Matt. It's not us you have to convince. I think that you're hearing concerns from the parents, and a lot of the concerns have to do with transparency. And I know your abilities, I know where you work. I think Bobby Bishey was your predecessor?
Yes.
Bobby, I think, left to take another job. That's why he moved ahead for a number of years, I believe. It sounds like the parents have some legitimate concerns, and it seems like this should be solved within the organization. There's things we can do to mediate, perhaps, but it shouldn't even have to get to that right now. You know, the books can be put on the website. The audit can be available to anybody who wants it. Some of the coaching things, that again, that's a bit beyond what we can do here. But the parents have a voice. They fund it. The kids choose to enroll or not enroll. You're empowered.
I don't think they have the right to see the books. Here's what we're bringing in, here's what we're spending, and here's what we're spending it on. You know, whether it be uniforms or referees or whatever. Yeah, especially if they're funding it and they're helping do the fundraising.
So like once I get control of those books, all that will be very clear. That's one of the improvements I want to bring as new treasurer. So I do intend on doing that. And I was also asked about our contractual payment. We're probably going to need that money to keep up our insurance.
We took care of that earlier.
Yeah, okay. So that was discussed closed session tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments?
Can I just say one more thing? Would that be okay?
Sure.
So as far as the, you know, me coming to the meeting and videotaping, all right, now I'm told that that's a private organization, you know, and there was a lot of, you know, a lot of reasoning, and, you know, I won't use the word, but, you know, I just, when I look at the website, when I look at the LAA website, I come to the bylaws from 2015. Okay, so our Article 10 of the bylaws says that a closed meeting is never allowed unless it fits within the confines of the Open Public Meetings Act. It also says the LAA encourages all residents to attend and express all thoughts, ideas, and concern for youth of the Lopatcong Township. So, to me, that's an open meeting that can be videotaped. Am I wrong?
They are a private organization, so they are not subject to the Open Public Meetings Act. I don't know what their current bylaws say, but I bet you those bylaws are from when they were under the township.
But this is what's on the website.
Sure, no, and that's what,
Right,
you should
right.
take that up with them, because those are their bylaws, and that's what they say. Then if they don't want to do that, they should change their bylaws. But I can tell you that those are the bylaws they had when they were under the umbrella, and then they were subject to the Open Public
Yeah,
Meetings Act.
I
They did
think-
have to allow videotaping, and they did have to do all those things.
I think it was 216 when they actually perfected their 501c3 status. Is that correct, Beth?
Oh, I'd have to go back.
I think, you know, and 215 actually predates their full independence, I believe.
Okay, so here's the interesting part of this whole thing with the bylaws. This is what's posted on the website. Okay, this is what's posted on the website. They have an approved bylaws from 2017 that are not on the website. Okay, and it's word for word. It's word for word. The only difference is, and I went through this last night and looked at it, the big difference that stands out to me is they did away with number 4 in Article 10, which talks about, you know, the Open Meetings Act, and they added language about the officers taking compensation. Okay, so it almost seems like, okay, well, this is really it, but this is what we have on the website. These are approved. This is from 2015. Makes me feel like we're hiding something. Word for word. Word for word, it's the same thing.
With the exception of number 10.
With the exception of number 10, and they added language about compensation, monetary compensation for the officers. So, you know, I have the articles of incorporation. This is not a private company. This is a public company. I have it right here. You know, there's two kinds of companies that you can have, an open company and a private company. According to the state of New Jersey, this is a public company. We're having meetings in a public room. The bylaws say that you can do it. We're funded by the township, right? We're taking money from the township. Why can't we videotape? What are we trying to hide? What's so bad about that?
I'm going to get into an area that's I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, a private company and a public company usually implies some sort of ownership subject to regulation and so on. Stock, private company is closely held. It's an independent organization that has achieved 501c3 status. You incorporate first, and then you get your approval as a nonprofit organization. And I'll repeat myself, we have no control over their governance. We allow them to use our facilities, our fields. That was in return for their promise to serve the youth of, you know, whatever the language says in the agreement, and we'll revisit that. But again, it sounds to me like before it would be appropriate for us to step in. You gotta get some parents out at the meetings, and you gotta voice these concerns.
If we table this, we'll load this room with parents.
Pardon me?
Not this room. Be clear, he said their room.
Their room.
Not this
Their
room.
room.
Their room.
You
Their
gotta take
room.
their government documents, those issues, you gotta take that up with them.
You vote with the fees you pay, you vote with your participation.
Yeah, but the parents have no say at the end of it, and so,
Well, in the end, you know, you fill the room, your kids
in the end, it
don't
doesn't
have
mean
to
anything.
participate.
If nobody's allowed to vote, nothing changes. And the way it's set up right now, it will never change because it's a.
If they don't have enough kids to field a football team, they're going to have to react to that.
We're not going to take our kids out. Our kids go to Lopat, the Lopat Panthers. We're not going to do that.
So, I mean, I'll ask you, what is it that you expect council to do? And I think we're a pretty proactive council. We get involved where
Yeah, we need to get involved with them somehow and sit down and say, you know, where's all the money going? What are you guys doing? You're not running a good organization.
Well, you already got a promise from the treasurer today, right, Matt?
Yes. Once I get control of those books, I'll do my best to use the office skills. I'll find out where all the money is, and I'll present it for February.
Would it be bad if we asked them to have a meeting with a couple of us to sit down and voice some of these concerns and see what they say to us? Are we allowed to do that?
Well, yeah, we can always offer to be a mediator. I mean, we talked about that offer, but as far as either our obligation or our legal status to do that, I'm not sure.
No, you'd be doing it more as a mediator, not.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to offer our services as a mediator and try and mediate some of these problems. But again, we don't have a hammer on them other than what the contract says, and the contract's very basic.
Yeah, I mean, we're limited what we can do here. You know, I mean, it's from what I'm hearing tonight, it's disturbing. Having said that, what we can do is mediate, possibly. You know, and get, like Councilman Wright said, get some of the representatives, a couple of us, we could sit down together, maybe a couple parents, and be able to, you know, hash this out. And
I just don't want to see Lopac on athletics be ruined. I don't want to see Lopat's name be ruined. And that's why I think we're all stepping up sooner than later
Right,
to
and
say, something's not right here.
None of us wants to see that. I mean, both my stepdaughter and my son
played.
played.
Respect Matt, he sits on other boards with Mr. Lutz. I think that their friendship influenced his decision in getting a position on the board. With all due respect, I see, you're on the same table and I've seen it. And that's as far as I know the relationship are. So in my opinion, like Mr. Sampson said, he stepped up and wanted to be treasurer and was told, no, sorry, it's too late. And that's where we see that the board itself is kind of almost out of control in the way that they're voting, and that we don't feel like we have a voice as parents, and we need help from the council before Lopat athletics are ruined, because there's many parents that talk of going to Liners and Steel Hill and Lopat, and not only for football, but for other sports too.
And all these concerns, I think we should start with a meeting. I think that that'll be a first good step. Let's start with that, and let's give it a chance, and let's see where that takes us. I mean, are we all agreed to that?
Yeah, we gotta start
We
somewhere.
gotta start someplace.
Or maybe we could even go to their meetings and sit in and watch what goes on a little bit too.
Well, we have a liaison,
Right.
but that's all it is a liaison. You know?
What are your thoughts, Mr. Polito?
Well, I'm hearing different sides, I'm hearing different stories. I think we should go attend the meeting just to get an idea what goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to several meetings. I was not at the last meeting, I couldn't attend. But I was at the meeting with the treasurer election. I had some questions about that as well, which were answered. But why don't we go forward with doing something, because it's the kids. That should be the top priority, that should be our concern.
When's the next meeting?
It's,
I'm not sure.
I think the 3rd or 4th of January.
22nd,
January 22nd will be the next one?
I think so. Is that Tuesday?
January 22nd. Or see,
22nd or 29th?
It is a Tuesday.
It's not the 29th, we have court on the 29th, it's the 22nd.
I think it's a step in the right direction. Not just attend a meeting, but also facilitate a meeting, as we just said a moment ago. And
Yeah.
we need to try that avenue.
Everything needs to be in the light. right? We all have to be on the same page, we all have to see what's going on, and we all have to agree at the end of the day that the right thing is happening. We can't let the wrong thing happen.
I'm trying to think about just what it is that I want to say, because one thing I don't want to create is if council shows up at an open meeting with that you're going to just create a circus type atmosphere, because you're going to have a bunch of parents here that are arguing, and that we don't need. So do we have a separate meeting, a couple of us, with the LAA? Can we do that? To let them know what's going on?
As long as you don't have more than two of you.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'd have to advertise.
I think there's two things that have to be done before you can even have that meeting. We have to know how many people, or pick a representative, but we have to know how many people are dissatisfied. If it's 8 out of 200, your concerns
But
aren't
even if
going to go very far.
Even if a half a dozen people or even if one person is unsatisfied, isn't that enough?
Well, I can tell you by most organizations, no, it's not. Yeah.
You see, the thing is, I'm a realist, and especially sitting up here, you never please everybody in this town.
Absolutely.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
You're right.
You know, when you deal with different personalities and different opinions and views, it's impossible. So I think that we should just go ahead and have a meeting and start with that, and address the issues that was discussed.
Yeah, and my other suggestion is take your issues and lay them out. Take all the personalities out of it. Nobody's going to mediate anything when they talk about this guy appointing his friends and stuff like that. Just be honest about what the concerns are. If kids aren't getting enough playing time, or you disagree with the leadership being paid, all of that. As soon as you start bringing personalities into it, that never gets solved.
Yeah, but I don't see how you're going to get away from that. And to Mr. Sampson's point, do we have a public meeting, and then you get into it? And if we don't, if two of us sit up here, myself and maybe one of the council person, sit down with the LAA people, then it looks like we're hiding something. That we're trying to. So I mean, one thing I don't want to create for our kids is a circus type atmosphere, and I've seen that over the years. I think we've all seen that. You don't want to get into personalities. That's all great in an ideal world. You're going to get into personalities. That's why you have conflict in the first place, because you're disagreeing with how, let's just be honest with how Mr. Woods is running things. And I don't know whether there's any other personalities on that board that you agree or disagree with. So again, I mean, I had a son, I had a stepdaughter who went through the school system here and played here, and there's always conflict. There were times I felt my own son should have played more than somebody else. And there were coaches, and I'm going to say this because it's the truth, whose kids played simply because the father was coaching.
Sure.
That's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. So what I don't want to do is create a circus type atmosphere. You've come here tonight with your concerns. These are concerns that, trust me, I haven't had a kid in the Lopat school system since 2007. It went on back then. It's just the way it is. And the reason that we took the LAA under our umbrella at that point was because of the fundraising. Wrestlers were separate, and everybody was separate. I don't have any answers, but what I will tell you is I will do my best, as I'm sure these other four gentlemen will do, to try and resolve this conflict. The best for our kids, not necessarily any adults. What's the best for our kids? Your kid's not playing, this kid's not playing. I get that. I went through that.
That's the coaching end of it, and that's important. And you're always going to have daddy ball, and you're always going to have that sort of thing. But my main concern is how we're handling the business end of it.
I agree, and not to defend Mr. Herzer, because I only know Mr. Herzer from coming to public meetings for what, 3-4 years, man. I mean, he's a member of our school board. He comes to our meeting all the time. He's here tonight for our year-end meeting.
And I'm sure he's very thorough, but the guy that was there before, hardly ever showed up at the meetings. Why weren't we keeping a finger on this guy? You're not doing your job. Where's all the money, Where's all those financial statements that they're supposed to have? That's part of their bylaws. They're not supposed to have that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's not a personality. That's part of your bylaws. Where are they? Why aren't you doing your job? I gotta say about Matt, I've known Matt for a while. You know, Matt volunteered for the Shade Tree Commission. Nobody won that job, but you know, he got it. He got it until we got our forestry plan done. He's active on the rec commission. They all enjoy the community day every year. Matt's right in the middle of that. I mean, he does things because he lives here, and he's a volunteer. He's not aligned with this person or that person.
Sure, no, listen, let's figure it out and straighten it out and get on the right path moving forward. You know, we can't change whatever happened behind us, but he does seem like a nice guy and thorough and all that stuff. So let's straighten it out and get on the right track.
He's got to be in the game either. He's a single guy with no kids. I mean, so it's like, here's a guy who's simply volunteering his time for his township.
Don't let us down, dude. Tell you right now.
Stop.
The reason, I'm sorry.
I'll yield, Matt. Go ahead, I'll go after you.
Oh, thank you. The reason, that was part of the reason Bob resigned the position. He wasn't able to go to all the meetings and produce what he should produce. And that's why I'm stepping in. I have a degree in accounting. I have a master's in business administration. I have extensive experience in nonprofit accounting. So I'm using my skills to bring it to where it should be.
All right, so what do you want to,
Excuse me,
I just would like to say, I sit on Lopatcong School Board as well, and Matt is a fellow board member on the school board, as is Kenny Lutz. It shouldn't be personalities. It should be, and I'm always, even at school board, what do our bylaws say? What do our policies say? That's what we should be following. And I don't know what the bylaws or what the policies say for this organization, but if they're not following them and they're not conducting their business in an open manner, then I applaud every parent here for coming to you, and I applaud your willingness to say, let's try and make it better for our youth. I do see some concerns. You let them use your fields, we let them use our buildings. So, and there is a bit of a tie there. There is a bit of a conflict also with school board in that sense, and I hope that we will be aware of that. I didn't know that Matt had this new position. But in terms of building usage, there's always kind of a balance there of who gets the usage and where those ties are. So I agree with this gentleman that I'm happier when things are open and clear and when we're following the rules. So thank you for doing what you're willing to do, and it's difficult in these situations. I don't want it to be about personalities, but I do want it to be fair and open.
I believe we all do. One thing that one lady brought up about the names on the back of your jerseys, that's all well and good, but that's specific to you. And again, I'm going way back because I've been here all my life, where, you know, jerseys were collected at the end of the year and they were reused next year. So, I mean, if you want to spend $50 and maybe get 3 years out of the jersey, or do you want to spend $50 and get 1 year out of the jersey? So now over 3 years you're spending $150. That's the way I look at things. To me, that's just common sense. It's sure it's nice to have your name on the back, but as she said, you can certainly identify your kid by the number. Only one kid's gonna have that number, and it's, you know, so it's just little things like that. But that's enough of how I feel about it. I think we've established that there's a problem. I think we've established that we're willing to do our best to help out. We've all had kids, you know, in the game here. Mr. Polito still has kids in the system, so we get it, and we're willing to do our best. So that's all we can promise you at this point.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else?
Completely separate topic.
Yes, sir.
All right. David Shotwell, 31 Jade Lane. We spoke over the summer, and we've got this great new street sweeper that goes around and clears our streets.
Yes.
I was talking with Brian. I'd like to try to get some kind of schedule established so that town residents can be notified and do a better job of cleaning the streets. This morning they came through and there were garbage cans and cars and everything else, so it does a halfway decent job, but it can be better.
Well, we have a new street sweeper now, so maybe that's something we can coordinate with the township road crew.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I know my garbage is picked up on Wednesday, so my garbage can gets right out the street, so actually got picked up today because of a holiday, but.
Exactly.
You know, so, I'm going to assume that, I think does all of Lopatcong get picked up Wednesday?
I don't know,
Where are we at? I'm over to Delaware Park, you're over in Country
What are you
Hills.
talking, garbage?
Yeah.
No, it's different.
It's different all over the place.
Different, that depends who you use.
Yeah.
You contract on your own with a private garbage hauler.
That may make it a little bit impossible to, you know, if your neighbors get picked up Thursday, and we're getting some, but
Sure, but
we'll do our best.
offering that, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Brian?
I'd like to address it. Know where I'm going. I agree with him, all right, that the area should be nice picked up and all that. In scheduling, it's a little tough, we can figure it out, all right? But what I was talking to him about a little bit out in the forum there was, why are we putting it in the road? Why aren't we putting it in the grass like I do at my house? Why does it gotta be in the road? If the arm reaches out, grabs it the same on the median, that's what it's there for. All right, why is it off the curb?
I put mine.
It helps me with plowing, yeah, but I'm just saying, it's something we've done for
No,
years.
I know what you
years.
mean. I mean,
But
ours,
it's something we need to do.
ours, we put ours on the apron, we don't put it
That's
in the
what I'm
road.
saying.
But he's talking about cars and
Well, but
other
one of
things,
the, one of the
right?
suggestions was to have something put out to ask people to put their cans on the curb or on the apron or something to help.
Yeah, if we have to
There's
schedule that,
something.
I think that's not an unreasonable request.
Actually, that arm does reach out extensively.
It'll reach right out through the cars and everything.
I'm guilty, mine's in the street.
Yeah. You know, whatever you want to go in there, but, you know what I mean, I run that sweeper for you know, to when leaf season this year's all screwed up, but it's gonna run for the whole month of December until leaves are cleaned, and
I don't think anybody's questioning running the street, but obviously it'd be much more efficient.
No, but there's
If you
people
could run it to
parking
the
on the
curb.
pile of leaves, I get phone calls, I mean, I get them just like you get them, remember that? All right, people park on the pile of leaves, you know what I mean, I got hit up with the other day, why didn't you pick this up? Well, do you see where the sweeper went right around your car? You know, I mean, people, they don't all have parking spots, you know, enough to fit there because they got kids, they got everything else. You know, where's the lineup go with everything? You know what I mean, so.
There's no perfect solution.
That's what I was trying to say, so I was trying to say was, is it something that we would try, you know, and if you want to try to schedule, that's okay too, wherever you want to go is up to you guys, but I personally think you can eliminate that whole scenario by putting it on the curbing.
Well,
You
you
know,
probably,
I don't put it on the
eliminate a lot of that. I know, like, Phillipsburg, Wednesday they pick up over in Hillcrest, and they usually run a street sweeper more or less behind the garbage trucks.
We don't have that, I got
Yeah.
3-4 different vendors in this town.
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I
I
mean?
understand, we have a bit of a different situation.
You know, one day I can do your house, the next day I can't do your house.
All right.
So just let me know where you'd like to go.
But the curb idea is, I think it's a good idea. I'll put mine in my grass next week.
That's what we talked about, right? We said, and I understand his concern, I really do, is to try it, you know, next time garbage comes and see what happens. See if there's any problem with it, they pick it up. And
Katrina just came up with a good idea. Next time we send out sewer bills or something like that, we can certainly put a notice in there, please put your garbage can on either your apron or on your grass so that the private haulers can certainly reach it, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, mine's up in there, I put mine 2 feet, 3 feet up in the apron.
Thank you.
Next one's going out to a service.
Yes.
Anyone else, questions, comments? Seeing none, we have a need to go back into executive session, so that's a polite way of me telling you Happy New Year and you're out of here, so. We need to go back into executive session.
We expect to take action on the
Travel is horrendous. I mean, every year I say, my wife is, we have some fun with the kids.
We open the door, so we need a motion to adjourn?
Traveling.
Motion.
Put it back.
Second?
Second.
We get
All in favor? Thank you.